Hey, everybody. Welcome back to KF&JF podcast. I tell you, we've been on the move so much lately, it's kind of hard to keep track of all of the different things we've been doing. But today is a day that I think we all should be paying attention to. This person that we have on our show today, oh my God, it's just a exciting thing that we're able to book, and we're really happy about that. And I'm just so excited to share this information with our audience and viewers, because it's just it's something we don't see often. She's a queen in this world, and she's a queen in her community. But I'm not going to go into it right now. But first, I'm going to introduce my co-host, Razak.
Hey everybody, I'm Razak. I'm the CEO and founder of United Minority Business Ventures. My company assists in the creation and maintenance of your business by forming opportunities to communicate and collaborate with your followers and subscribers or other business owners. We use a wide range of networking tools and methods to achieve results. We assist in the idea associated with social media marketing, building your marketing profile, creating your marketing strategy, building your financial profile for your business, or branding your product or merchandise. We may also determine what licenses are needed to operate your business. If you're planning on owning a domain or buying into pre-existing pages that will host your page. We also help by managing your website by selecting posts that create subscriptions, comments, and likes, or by generating comments on other individuals' business sites or page that create a dialogue of conversation directed towards your page. We also help navigate through the thousands of companies asking you for money when there's free companies out there. And Miss Sylvia, we just like to say I'm glad to be able to be with you on this podcast today.
Thanks, Razak, for all of your help and things that you do in the community as well. Like I said before, this person is not only a queen in her life, she's a queen in the community. She does so much to bring understanding and help to the community. She shines at her work. She's a star and a leadership in her leadership. Everybody that knows her, knows she got your back. She's a part of the community that we hope that we can bring more people and to see this, because this is something that you don't get that often. She's a woman that has pride, and she's a woman that knows that she has a purpose, and she's been doing a lot of that through her life. And we're going to go through a lot of those things. I know I'm going on and on and on, but this is because I want you to really to understand the appreciation we have at KF&JF podcast for her coming on. This is something I hope will bring your family and your kids to see this because of the experience that she has. So without further ado, please introduce yourself, Sylvia.
Hello, everyone. It's a pleasure to be here today, and I'm really excited to be a part of this podcast and to share a little bit about myself and to encourage someone else to pursue something in the STEM field. So I'm a California native, and being that I was a military brat, our family had the opportunity to live in various parts of this world and in the country. So exposed to different cultures, but I always knew that I liked math and science, but I didn't know which way I was going to go. Didn't know anyone in that field, but I knew what I liked. So I pursued in engineering. So I went and achieved my bachelor's in science from MIT in electrical engineering. And then after graduate from there, I pursued to the San Diego area and actually worked for 2 defense contract companies, actually stayed in that industry. I think it had an impact to, being raised in a military family. Maybe that's why I still stayed in that industry when I started working. So I worked at TRW Meade for 5 years and then currently at Cubic Defense. And I got my master's degree from San Diego State, one class at a time. But when you're determined, you can get there and achieve your goal, achieve what you want to achieve in life. So now I'm working in industry, working and training our military to be their best. And I'm just excited to be here to share a little bit more about that with you today. Thank you. So I think I have a video I want to share. And it kind of highlights the last company that I'm working at right now. It's Cubic Defense. And we have both a commercial side and a defense side. And so let's take a moment and see a little bit about Cubic's legacy in innovation. So Cubic Corporation's been in the San Diego area over 50 years. It started off working with U.S. elevators. We were involved in the training of our military, the ground troops, the air troops. We were actually even involved in severe equipment. We're located right in the Kearney Mesa area. And like I said, we train our military, our air troops. We also have a commercial side that deals with transportation systems. We also train our ground troops, and I call it like a sophisticated laser tag for our ground troops. They instrument the soldiers, the vehicles, so they provide a realistic view. Our commercial side focuses on the transportation system. You'll see we have applications in the BART, the DC area, and even international. And for our ground troops, like I said, we have the laser tag, and we have this personal locator radio. Basically, when you have a downed soldier out in the field, he wants to communicate to the aircraft so that they can find him. So it's our personal locator system. But the other side of our house, on the commercial side, we do a lot of providing solutions that help the but we're an open company. Like I said, we have lots of services to protect our troops. We also instrument transportation systems to make them better. And the thing about Cubic is innovation, in that we have been around for 50 years, still making new ideas and making us successful. Okay, so I can hear you now.
That is so exciting, tell you the truth, that just what you've shown us so far is just amazing. Let me ask you, do you how does God play in your life when you're doing this? Because you got a lot of spirit in you, and I'm wondering what did you do to get to that point, to have that kind of strength to work in that field and to be an engineer? Because you have to go through a lot. I'm wondering how you were able to carry that forward. As from a young kid, you said you liked math. Not everybody likes math.
That is true. So I liked math and science, and I think, raised in a Christian family, we were always taught that, if it's God's will, it will happen. And so sometimes, you pray for guidance and you pray for direction, and you just pray every day that the Lord help you make it through a day. And the one thing about engineering truly is a male-dominated field. There aren't many women in engineering, and not many Black women in engineering also. I remember when at Cubic, I went to an all-hands meeting for our whole department, and there was over 80 people in there, and I was the only person of color and the only woman that was in the entire meeting, except for our admin. And so I know that, I based on my faith to basically make it through, because there are some times where people have different perceptions of what you can and cannot do. And you just have to let their perception not become your reality. So you just have to focus in on, this is my objective, this is what I need to do, and this is how I need to push forward. As we talk about pressing towards the mark. So, keep pushing and pressing forward.
Yeah, you're right about that. That is something that is hard to do sometimes when you're faced with a lot of, people having judgment, and then being in the room with, being the only one female in there is one thing, but just being the only color, person of color in there. How were you able to, navigate through all of those different, there's 80 people there. Were you shy? Did you feel as if, you know what, I'm just going to stay back in the back? Or were you one of those strong Black women out there that just was assertive and saying, you know what, I'm going to talk, or I'm going to let you know that I belong here?
I think I'm more of a quiet spirit, to be honest. Um, but that didn't stop me for being in leadership roles. Um, I think even growing up, I was involved in Girl Scouts, and people wonder how that has an impact. But that too provides you leadership roles. You know that, when you say something, you mean something. We're raised that your word is your bond. Um, I believe that I'm dependable, and people can rely on what I say is the truth. I just remember hearing one of my coworkers. He says, "I enjoy working with you because I know I'll get the truth from you." So how you present yourself. Um, like I said, I'm not a forceful person, but I'm a quiet spirit that I'll let you know when something is out of line or something is in line. So I respect people. I think when people feel they're being respected, even the staff of the 15 people that I have right now, no, 20, they believe in what I say. They will follow my leadership. They know I'm authentic. So I think if you're true to yourself and people can see that you're true to yourself, I think that's helped me navigate through different managerial type positions. Or even if I do have a disagreement with someone, you know, we can do it rationally speaking. We don't have to raise our voices and use language of not positive. So to get your point across. So I think just a quiet storm. That's how I look at myself.
Right. Right.
Well, I don't know if that's a quiet storm, but in order to get there, somebody had to be saying they're not gonna mess with you in order to, to have 20 people under you. I know that's a hard management thing. So with all of these people under you, and you these different personalities, and you having to kind of like compartmentalize each one of those people and their personalities so that you can get them to do things for you, or
Right.
to make sure that they're part of the team. So what factor or something about you that they don't know that may help them have a better understanding about you now that you're in that leadership role? Maybe they already know some unique facts about yourself. Can you give us some and our listeners?
Unique facts about myself. I always tell people I was the shortest one in my household. Not that make a big difference, but um, so I like to travel. Um, I'm a people person, to the extent that I like to interact with people. I like to know what's going on in their personal lives because I feel, we're at work many hours during the day. So the more I get to know about you, we can interact on that level. In addition to what are my expectations for you to achieve your task? Do you making sure people understand that, we're dealing things with schedule emphasis, we're dealing things with budget emphasis, and we want a product that's quality. So just keeping them abreast of understanding what they need to do. Um, I think they see that all the time, so that might not be too unique. But I think the unique factors, I think people don't know I'm more of a quiet person, than an outgoing person. But like I said, if something needs to be said, it'll be said. But it can be done in a nice way. Not everything has to be done in a mean-spirited way. You can still get the message across. So.
You're right about that. You're right about that. Razak, you have any questions?
Were there okay, so you said that earlier that you were like the only woman in the room, the only person of color in this male dominated field.
Mm-hmm.
When did you said it was the STEM field, right? When did
Right.
that begin? When did your interest in that begin?
I would say, as you said, the STEM is the science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. And they're looking at and putting the A in there, which is the arts, which kind of integrated into that field to make it STEAM. But my interest in STEM, tell people, started like in the 5th grade. I had this teacher that was truly a math advocate, and we had, 60 problems in 60 seconds. And I was like the first one to reach the last problem set. And I would say that was the moment that my love for math really began. As I progressed through elementary school, high school, I was looking for the advanced math classes. And in high school, I remember in geometry class, we just moved back to California. And I entered into the room, and the teacher was like, I think you must be in the wrong room. And I said, well, this is geometry, right? And he looked at my paper and he's like, oh, I guess you are in the right room. So there's that kind of sentence. But like I said, he actually became an advocate for me for when I became a senior in high school, that he got me enrolled in California State University, Sacramento on a full scholarship for my upper division math classes. So even though we had a run-in on initial contact, that turned around where he actually became an advocate for me as I later became a senior in high school. So I would say elementary schools were in the love for STEM began. And I just continue from there.
As you said that right there, I was wondering, how was it, Black female, what you obviously what was doubted or underestimated, and how intelligent you were, and how motivated you were. How was that how should I say, a mental level, like a racist people, or well, I won't call it. Well, I guess it would be kind of like a racist way, the way they were treating you, or trying to look down on you because you're not only because you're a female, but because you're a Black female. So it's like you have all these hurdles that were set in front of you just on your appearance alone. So was that like a motivational thing? How did you approach that subject when you already know that they're looking down on you and underestimating you just based on your color alone, and that you're a female?
The interesting thing being in the military, as a military brat, sometimes I think I was a little bit more I won't say colorblind, color not awareness, I'll say. So I just saw it was his mistake, and I didn't absorb that, he's, his judgment on me. But of course, my parents didn't see it that way. So they definitely had a conversation with this instructor, this teacher. And there's, different incidents when I look back now as an adult where there were those challenges, but I looked at it as it was their problem. When I got more into the workforce and ran into, like, for instance, at the copier machine, and someone would say, oh, can you make these copies for me? And I'm like, oh, no, I think I'm finished, and you can make, the machine's available for you to make your own copies. So I will say I became more aware later in life. Even going for my first managerial position, the interviewing room were my peers. Well, they weren't my peers yet, but they were the other managers. And I walked into the room, and the first response was, kind of like, why are you here? Position. And they're like, oh, yeah. So, that happened. But, like I said, I can't let it stop me. Otherwise, I just won't get to go where I need to be. So.
Isn't that the truth?
Were there challenges and or other type of setbacks that in hindsight played a crucial role in your personal development?
I would say, like you said, I'm working male dominant field. So certain engineers that did not know who I was or what, you're capable of doing, they would be doing the same work I'm doing. And I go to my boss and say, hey, one of us has to do the work, not both of us. So people just assume you can't do it. Excuse me. I would say I had a boss that kind of had that perception. And so in a sense, it kind of, I would think, held back a little bit. But, in due season, as they say, he moved out the way. I got a new boss and things changed. So there were some setbacks, but I don't think it was a total holdback. So
I think that's an important part that you're talking about there in, trying to have confidence in yourself and building that strength in yourself
right.
to allow yourself not to be taken advantage of.
Right.
If you're at the copy machine, and I've seen this before where they think
Mhm.
that you're not, you're supposed to be down here, so make copies for me. No, this is the machine is here for you to do your job. So not for me to do your
Mhm.
job. So and doing that, did you find, like, through your college and coming up through this, being having the love for math, were there lonely times? Were there times where you were like by yourself, and because you're advancing and your friends sometimes can't come with you, you meet them,
Mhm.
and then all of a sudden you're going on a path and you're meeting other people. So how did you deal with that, if you had any loneliness in that area? And then how did you deal with some of the friends that may have been like judgmental, like, why are you doing that? Or why don't you just hang out and go to school here? How did you manage that?
I guess you would say that I'm grounded with the self-confidence because I've had people say, Sylvia, why are you even pursuing a master's degree? It's like, because that's what I want to do. So just because you don't agree with what I'm doing, that's your perception. But, I have my reality. And so, if I said it's something that I want to do, I just keep pushing forward. What do I need to make that happen? What do I need, preparation to make it happen? How do I who do I need to contact to make it happen? Because it's what Sylvia wants to do.
Okay.
Well, ain't nobody gonna stop Sylvia for what she wants to do. Not now, they see you now. They ain't stopping you for what you want to do. I tell you that, especially if they don't know how to add. They don't know how to multiply. And I'm bad in math. And I'm telling you, I'm trying to go back to school right now and get me some math done. But I just think that that's something that it's one of those things that I can imagine being. I guess everybody would consider you very smart, because anybody that's running in the math field, English and science and history and all those other subjects, it's just nothing to be able to do, because you're just reading and answering questions. When you got to use your brain in that way to solve problems, and then to figure out how to deal with all of the other side effects of that, what they call that when you're a math wizard, they do both sides of the problem, and try to understand that. So what do you guys I'm trying to figure out, how do you keep your head around that kind of stuff? Do you go to places where you have to take time to get your thoughts together, or do you find yourself just like constantly, you wake up in the middle of the night doing math problems, or do you or do you have some other place where you can just get away from knowing that you got that kind of thing constantly going on in your head?
I think one of the things that I share with my staff, I was like, if we didn't have any problems, we wouldn't be an engineer, because that's what we do, is solve problems. I remember my earlier design years where I actually did do, I did printed circuit card designs and did specialized chip design, that type of work. At night, you'll be like, at work, there's a problem that's stuck, I can't get this to simulate or this. And like in the middle of the night, something are like, oh yeah, this is what you need to do to make it happen. And so, yeah, when you're solving problems, it's a constant thing, unfortunately, I would say, because you want to come up with a solution. And it's so much rewarding that, I was involved in actually the requirements, a paper design of what they told me, what they wanted as a requirement, to actually designing it, to actually implementing it, and to actually testing it in the lab to make sure it meets all those requirements. So that whole design flow to me is really exciting about engineering because technology is ever changing. And so you get to use new technology. And so, maybe I'd like to share with you a few of the projects I have worked on since I've been at Cubic.
That had me thinking about this next question right here. What activities or hobbies bring the most joy and fulfillment outside of your personal life?
Well, personally, I like traveling. I think with my family traveling all over the world, we lived in Asia, we lived in Europe, in the States. And so I really enjoy traveling. It's always been rewarding. But one thing that's really special to my heart is actually encouraging young people to seek, a career in technology. As I mentioned earlier, that I loved math and science, but I didn't know which way I was going to go. And my senior year, I attended this workshop, and you punched in your interest, and out popped out these various career choices. That's how I learned about engineering. So I was like, you know what? I've never met an engineer. So I was like, well, I would love to take this opportunity to visit high schools, visit career fairs, just to show people what an engineer is, let them know that they can ask me questions about engineering. So that's why I really got involved in organizations that focus in on that. The first was the San Diego Council of Black Engineers and Scientists. Became active in doing career days, showing them the various fields of engineering, speaking at schools, just engaged. Even at my church, we have Black History Month services, and one was on technology, where we just focus on all the inventions, all the things that we created when our own hands invented in this country, so that they can be proud of their history of where they came from. But also, we had the opportunity from there and joined the National Society of Black Engineers and the professional level. And we really work with the collegiate students. We really want to encourage them, through tutoring or just being mentors to them. And also, once again, visiting the high school so that they can see engineers, ask us questions, what is an engineer? And I love sharing, practical examples of different engineering. Like, for instance, I would say, the table that you're sitting at, that material is not wood, chemical engineer did that. Or see all the roads out there, you have your civil engineers, they were involved with that. People in space, we have your space aeronautic engineers, electrical engineers that like what I am. And I always remind them, maybe engineering is not your field, but just remember it's your attitude that will drive your altitude. So how high do you want to go? Let your attitude match that so you can push forward. So just encouraging young people, letting them know there are options in life. And I always remember this poster. It had a crowbar and it had a diploma. And it said, both of these can open doors, but which way do you want to go?
Wow,
Right,
I'm
right.
just so happy to listen to you talk about that, because I know that Razak has some questions, but just off the top, listening to that, can you talk about whether or not you wanted to be a teacher in this, in colleges, and do that? Is that something that you want to do? Because just having all this information and being able to articulate it in a way that simplify it where people can understand it is,
Mm-hmm.
just seems like there's a lot there that can help so many other people.
Interesting you say that. I would say one time I did teach a class at UCSD, and it was dealing with technology. We were doing field gate array designs. And so I was talking about the programming language they use. Um, I like the mentoring aspect. I hadn't really thought about teaching per se. I do know I teach Sunday school, which is not technology, but it's the idea of teaching. So I did enjoy that. And like you said, if you can get the message across, communicate to someone so that they can understand it, then that's a plus. So you have me thinking about something else to do.
Well, I'm
Man.
telling you, with that talent, it's so much that, so many people that you can help. And I know you're already helping a lot of people in the leadership roles that you have in the community
Mm-hmm.
organization that you're involved in. But I just see trying to get to those youth. And we have such a problem right now with all of the talent that's out there, but it's being used in ways where it's either, not productive, or it's just in a way that doesn't bring any wealth to the community, or to us as Black people. So I think that you have, whether you're going to retire or whatever age you want to make it, you always have that option to teach, because that knowledge is something that's there. And I would be, remiss if I didn't ask you if you were going to be a college teacher here at some point.
Well, actually, I did consider tutoring afterwards, when I did retire, because like you said, there's a lot of people that don't understand different things. And so if I can help someone, because I was doing that also on the side as tutoring math to young people in elementary and high school levels, even collegiate levels, now that I think about it. And so that was rewarding too, when you can see, your student, you're looking at them and they, like the light bulb goes off and they actually understand what's going on and they're able to improve and do well by themselves. And so that is a rewarding feeling. So thank you.
Wow.
Yes.
Yeah. Go ahead, Razak. I'm just so happy that she's thinking about even teaching somebody.
Well, it seems like you had a lot of challenging situations that you have faced. But is there one particular one that you have faced that you have been able to triumph through, and there was a significant accomplishment that you had made and you had to navigate through?
I think one that was a rewarding challenge. A friend of mine, another woman engineer, like I said, we had the interest in educating young people about the sciences. So we had started a company called African American Technologists. And the goal basically was to share our achievements, in society. So we had various products that we were displaying. We had like the calendar, the first year feature on African American inventors. And we actually had the I can't think, the invention in the calendars for each month. Then the second year we focused in on the astronauts, and so the Black astronauts, and we had just various products between the calendar and shirts and different things, just like I said, that increase the general awareness of our achievements in these areas of technology. On a personal level, I would say one of my biggest challenges and triumph was taking care of my mother, being a caregiver. She moved in with me when she was 70 years old, and she was able to stay with me about 15 years. And so we had a great relationship, and we were able to travel and everything before her illness became a little bit more than she could handle. The interesting thing when I think about COVID when it was here is that we all had to stay home, and that also allowed me the opportunity to stay home and help take care of my mom. Even though I had help to help me, I was able to be home with her, and that was something that was challenging. The doctor's appointments, what's the best treatment, and through prayer, asking for guidance, what's the best way to go forward. But knowing that I was here all that time was definitely a rewarding feeling for me.
Right.
Yeah, I know that's one of those areas that, COVID has been one of those things that just, either help some people in their work environment by being able to stay home and get things done. And other parts, where people were just mentally just wanting to get out. So, and having to go through that, who was your role model and as you grew up, and how did your parents play a role in your life, as far as not only through your college days, but as you got older, and you were successful, and they saw you pulling these strings and everything is, you're breaking down doors, glass is falling all around you, you don't know what to do. But how did they take that? What was some of the things that they were proud of you?
My parents are very proud of me. They always will let me know. It's like, we love you. We're so proud of the things that you're doing. They came to my graduation in Boston, Massachusetts. They came to my graduation here in San Diego. whenever I needed support or guidance or direction, I could turn to them also. They would, be truthful and say, Sylvia, you need to consider this. They weren't forceful, but they were informative, and they're like, you'll make the decision. But like my mom said, she called me stubborn head anyway. I will listen to advice, and I may not do what you do, but I listen. I'd be respectful. With regards to the different awards that I achieved over time, they always let me know that they were proud of me. They were very supportive of me. I'm just grateful that I was able to. They were able to be around during some of my adult years. I think even when I look at like my grandmother on my mother's side, she was like a lady of third grade education, but she raised her 7 kids. They all graduated from high school, and she was an entrepreneur herself. And I think that's probably the entrepreneurial spirit that came down through the family. But she was I would say in her 70s and 80s, she would make this, what we call the sweetgrass baskets. And their family legacy, they evolved from the slavery period where they were built. The slaves would make them for rice fanners, basically, where separate the rice from the hull. And that's where it kind of evolved from. They built these tools, that we're aware of during the slave period. Later, they became household items that you use to store things or to, beside the farm tools. And I would say like in the 70s or 80s on the US Highway 17, this is all in Charleston or Mount Pleasant, South Carolina. And they still are making the baskets today. My aunt still works at the marketplace and sells them on the weekends. But it's just a beauty to see that legacy that, I can point back and say, yes, my family was involved in that, and be proud of that, proud of where I came from. Just knowing that there's something that we can pass on to the next generation and understanding the history of it, that it's a beautiful art form today, but in the back days, it was a farming tool and how it evolved. And it's just something that we need to continually share with people.
Right.
I think you're absolutely right about that. I love to see that basket. It would be just amazing to see and understand that connection of the historical parts to it, and then now to see that it's still coming forward. So look at it and see, and have her talk about it.
Thank you. So this is a part of my history, part of our family legacy. And this is one of the displays that I did at a Black History Month presentation. The framed picture in the back is my grandmother actually working at the marketplace where she's making baskets to sell. As I mentioned, this is one of the oldest African-American art forms in this country. And it's made from basically 3 different materials, all natural materials. You see the pine needles that are laying down on that tray to the left. We have bustle or sweet grass is the 2 items that are standing on the outside of the baskets. And then the middle, you'll see in that tall brown basket, those are actually palm leaves that are dried and stripped, and they're actually used to do the sewing of the baskets. So you tie, starts off with a knot. Every basket starts with a knot, and you just feed the pine needles and the sweet grass into there. And you're able to make various shapes and forms of baskets. And there's one that I got from my grandmother over 50 years ago. And it's my purse, and it's the far left side. You can see a little bit of it on the corner. And like I said, it initially started off with being fanners. They were used as farming tools in the slave period times. And to sew with these, you actually use a spoon handle, and you'll see that laying next to the pine needles that's in that flat basket right there. So as I said, they come in different shapes and forms. My auntie today is still on the marketplace developing new designs to display for the baskets. And it's just wonderful seeing over the generations how it's continued on. Thank you. How's that? I don't know what that's
Okay,
doing.
yeah. Because I was going to ask you about that one right there, the one that you're on right there. That where that circle is like a wheel.
Yeah, that is actually
Like,
like a it's like a wall hanging. And so like the roses on there, they're actually the palm leaves that you see here. So
mhm,
they dry beige. When they finally dry, they like green to beige. So when you look in the baskets, anywhere where you see beige, that's where the actual, I'm sorry, that's where the grass is where the beige is. And where you see the brown in the baskets, those are all pine needles. So we strip the pine needles, the heads off of them, and then we
mhm.
just kind of stuff them in and feed them. And we sew them with the palm leaves. So you kind of cut a point at the end, you make a hole into the row and with the spoon handle, and you insert that in, so that just kind of follows. And it's and like this whole brown basket here is made out of all pine needles
Oh, I
and
know.
the palm
Can it if
leaves.
you click it, will it zoom in further?
Oh my
I'm
goodness,
trying
you're
to.
correct.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, let's go down now. Let's go down to this little thing. I want to see this a little closer right here because that's handmade. So how many? So you made some of these yourself, then, right?
I made probably like the flat basket here. My mother made this one that's all pine. It's about 3 feet tall. This one is. This one here is a purse that my aunt made for me for my birthday.
Mm,
And
man,
we were at a hospital where they had a basket that had little flowers on it. She says, I can take that idea. And she used that and created this one. So it's like the little roses on a stand.
wow.
Um, uh,
Are these items for sale or are they just in the family or?
they sell them in Charleston. Some of them have gone on to eBay, um, because it is, if you go, it's from my grandmother's parents. My grandmother's parents were slaves. So all of my grandmother and her siblings, they all made the baskets.
Right.
And like,
Mm,
for instance, this picture here was one of her brothers when he was at the when he actually had a basket stand. So this is an old black and white picture of one of her brothers back in the day.
man, mm.
And then
Yeah, that's a lot going
this
on
is
right
the
there.
spoon handle that I said they take it and they kind of round. Yeah. So they take that spoon handle and cut off, of course, the spoon part, and then they rounded the edge, and that's the tool that you use to poke into the pine or the grass, and then you sew with the actual strip of pine palm. Excuse me.
Yeah, that's hours and hours of work right there.
Yes, many
Hours and hours
hours
of work.
for the and like I said, this is my grandmother. Doing the basket. She was the marketplace, and she did very well. Because people are like, oh wow, she's an older lady working. And making the baskets. And it's like she made very strong baskets. And like I said, these are ones in the house. I have even more than that's on this display. But my
Oh,
aunt, my mom.
yeah, go right. Yeah, there. Yeah, let's look at that. Yeah.
So this one's a wall hanging that I have on the back of my door, in my on the front door. And then this one's just once again, it's a wall hanging piece with the rose. And then this one is, a triangle shaped basket. And then I had like the brochures. I was, for those that wanted to learn more information about the baskets. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. And that was you said that's your great grandmother in the back right there?
No, that one's my grandmother.
Grandmother.
And this is her brother back in the day when he had his basket
So
stand.
so this would be back in the slave
Oh,
era, I guess, or I
well, it
don't know what.
started, his basket stand was after the slave era. So
Oh,
his
okay.
basket stand was probably, because mom was born in 33. and she was doing baskets back then. And they were selling them, like for 25 cents each for a flat basket. I would say like a flat basket like this. And the flat baskets today sell for like $40 because they're art forms now. They're not just a basket, It has a meaning, the legacy with it. So they decide they're going to sell it a value of what it's worth and where it
Let
came
me
from.
let me ask you real fast. In referring to in reference to, being able to trace your great or great grandparents and stuff like that from the being on the plantation. Do you know if are you is your like is your lineage, I guess I would say, or your roots or something from them, like as far as your nationality or your name, you know what I mean?
It's
Not
interesting.
I shouldn't say nationality, but you know what I mean. I know you're black, but I mean like our like the roots that are back from back then. Like like you say we came from Africa and this like
Yeah.
and it's that and are you like have you traced them back because you know they was on the plantation, so that was like
Yeah.
information handed down.
Right. I would say someone in the family, I don't recall, did one of those DNA ancestry checks and said that we're from Cameroon.
Cameroon.
Um, but like my grandmother's parents, they were entrepreneurs, and it's something that like my uncle, he didn't know that his grandparent was an entrepreneur and that, he did fishing, they did farming, and my, great grandmother, how they did the baskets and they did the flower sales and stuff. And so my mom saw all that because she was older than her younger brothers. So she saw working the farm that
Wow.
her grandfather had, and he bought many acres of land back then. So it went through all the generation. Like my grandmother and all her siblings and their families, have part of the land that their father had. So they passed it
And,
down
and
through
and
generations
this
too.
is one of the things you would be teaching if you had a class right there. This is like a arts and craft, or what would
It
this be?
would be, yeah. I know
Yeah,
people have asked me we just have to have time. Um, the interesting, the pine
a lot
needles,
of time.
because it's so humid down in South Carolina, they're very plausible, so they bend well. A lot of the pine needles out here are so dry that you almost cut yourself with them. So you just have to soak them so that they're much softer to work with.
Oh, so it is just more than a just dry them out type process. So
Right, right,
okay.
yeah.
So these same materials, I guess I want to say, grow out here, or they only is
Yeah, I
this
think
like any?
they're localized more down in South Carolina. Like this grass here comes out of the swamps of South
Okay,
Carolina, the green grass, and so they um, get that material. Um,
okay.
this other one's called bushel, excuse me, and it's just a real similar to the pine, but it's much thicker and stronger than the pine needles are. But they all do the job.
Okay. It looks nice. Looks like a lot of you gotta have some strong fingers or something, wrists and everything to
Yes,
be like
yes.
you gotta be
Yeah, they have my grandmother's sister. They actually down in South Carolina did a TV show with her and some of her daughters,
oh
talking
yeah.
about the baskets and making the baskets and how
Mm,
we passed it on from generation to generation. And so
mm.
I don't live
I
there to
think that
pass it
that's
on, but excuse me.
I think that that's so great. Just having the family ties to something unique as that. Having the
Mhm.
the your mother, your brother, and all of that being passed down to where you even have made your own.
Yes.
That's just I wish kind of like I had something like that. Something that was tangible, something we know that it came from It came
Yeah.
from the historical part that you guys, and the way it looks so beautiful. Everything is woven in there,
Yeah.
and you're talking about, they got to use it as a needle. I mean, we see this stuff on TV, right? This is kind of like when you watch African movies and you watch them, the women doing
Mhm.
this work, and you see all of that. You really don't know or have any real idea what goes in it. And when you're talking about it, and I see the beauty in the product that's there, I'm like, man, how do you keep passing that on? Where did because a lot of the kids, they're not doing that. You really gotta I don't know if you gotta push it on them, or you gotta constantly let them
Mm.
see you doing it. Everybody in the family is somewhere. Is it something that's done like you guys all get together like in the country when we
Yeah.
do a hog killing?
Yeah, we're in the
or,
country. Whenever we
or
went down, yeah, whenever you go visit grandma, they're be sitting on the patio, and everybody, tying their knots and start stitching. She makes sure everybody got they call it a bone, is the spoon handle. So they make sure everybody got their bone, and you got your supplies of the pine needles and the grass, and got the stuff was already pre-stripped, so you don't have to strip it. And, we just out there talking and making baskets.
wow. Tell us a little bit more about your dad. Can you give us some insight on that strength that I know we see your mom and how important that she was in you, but talk a little bit about your dad and the impact he's had on you, and as as going through school and became an engineer, and just his impact on your life.
I would say that it's not until I realized lately that he worked with computers in the 70s. He had all those cards that they used for programming. And my dad was, like I said, he was in the Army, and he served for over 26 years. And he was just a strong role model to me. It's like whenever he was home, he was present. It's like if we had our ball games, because my brother and I, we played sports. He was always there. He would help train us, throwing, catch, and everything for softball, or playing with us for basketball. So his presence, I think, was always important to me. When I moved out here after graduating from college, he helped me. My mom and I both helped me find a place to live down here. Um, he helped me buy my first car. He was just, um, and he had great character. You know what I mean? It's like he too, whatever he said he would do, he would do. Um, um, he's a Christian man, and he had leadership roles in the church, and in the deacon and doing the finance office, the numbers. So he was a number man too. So I just admired him. He was a very smart man, and I always figured I always wanted to try to trip him up, but it never worked because he was just too smart. Um, so I just really admire my dad because he was there, true positive presence in my life, and he was a family man. He was one of 13 children. And so he always valued that we would visit family, get to know them. And even today, when I think about, the cousins that I grew up with, some of my cousins never knew some of the other cousins. And so I really valued how he pushed that, make sure that we knew people that were in our family.
Yeah, I'm like that now. I got a big family. I don't know everybody either. I got some
I know.
cousins, and I got like a Facebook family. You know what I mean? They're like,
Yes.
I never actually seen them outside of Facebook. But we're related. You know what I mean? I ain't never actually, was like, huh? Well, like, you know what I mean? They never did that, but it was like, oh, hey, how you doing? What's up? What's going on? You
Hmm.
know, we got a big family too. You know, this takes me into some life lessons, and I'm thinking like so you got some foundation right there. A lot of these uh things that we go through in life, what I mean, they kind of foundate us, in our character, and how we approach challenges in life, and how we interact with people. So,
Right,
given
right.
that is what are these encouraging words you would share with the young people too when you get in when you finally get into your teaching position or
Uh, one, find out who you are and don't let it be dictated by others. Be true to yourself. Um, don't set limitations on what you can or cannot do, because you never know how far, that altitude may be just for you. Um, be genuine, be real, um, and enjoy life. You know what I mean? Surround yourself around with people that are positive, that help elevate you versus someone that will try to bring you down. Um, and like I said, just enjoy life. Do what you like to do. We used to tell people invest in yourself so that you have options in the future. So make that investment. What do you really want to do? Think about it. And what does it take to get you there? And
right,
find the path to get there.
right.
Okay.
That sounds like
I mean,
a
you
bit of
can't, you
a bit
can't.
of faith in a higher power belief right there is I think I believe you had mentioned uh being faith in church earlier. Is there a scripture that inspires you that you would like to share?
I can do all things through Christ, which strengthens me. So, and I also share, it's like, in my ways, God's ways are above that. So why should I put my limitation on what God can and cannot do in my life? So,
Right, right.
That's so
Okay.
important to have God in
mhm,
your life for sure. For
yeah,
sure that all things
yeah.
are possible with God. So that's one of the
hmm
biggest things to have there.
And not
What
lean
do you
on your
think?
own understanding. Like I said, that's another part from
Don't
Proverbs
lean on
3.
it.
Do not lean on your own understanding.
Hmm. Can you elaborate that saying a little bit?
Well, I'm alluding to the fact that, your understanding is limited. God's understanding is far beyond. So
Mm.
when we limit ourselves, we're not letting God do what he can do in our lives. So lean not on your own understanding.
Keep your options
Acknowledge
open.
him and he shall direct your path.
Acknowledge there is a force that drives us all, and then you have to recognize that. And once you recognize that, you'll believe. That's like sometimes you might think that there's a sign or something that what I mean, like there's a reason things are happening
Mm,
positive in life and that's driving us towards certain directions, and once we start to question them and doubt them, then that's when the detour happens and things like, oh, I got bad luck, I got this or something, or you know uh
mm-hmm,
and but when things I noticed, like, even for me, actually, what I mean, like going on a couple of months ago, what I mean, I wasn't trying to do the job. I wasn't trying to make my own company and all that stuff. You know what I mean? And
mm-hmm,
it was like all these different signs were showing me. I started meeting the right people. I started hearing the right influence, and I'd be thinking like,
mm,
sometimes we're that lean on your own understanding is like, okay, well, the people are always there. I just had you could just have your eyes closed to them, and your direction detoured. But once you're
right.
going on the right path and you open your eyes, then they was there all this time. You know what I mean? And
Mm-hmm,
they were there reaching out all this time. And it was just me just like, walking like, no, no, going like this.
yeah,
Then once I started saying like, okay, look it, I will accept what you have to mentor me on. I will take
yeah,
your advice. I will go do this. I will go do that. And then things started happening and everything. The
mm-hmm.
podcast came and we started meeting everybody here. We're hearing you guys' story. So,
Amen.
don't lean on your understanding. I like. What's that?
Sorry.
I can see that. I can see that being a good little statement right there.
Yeah, done. Okay, we fixed that problem.
uh,
Yeah, yeah.
So
So
Go ahead with that.
I mean, you kind of touched on, how your family, the lineage of making the baskets and stuff like that are. But can you share a specific way in which you aim to positively impact the lives of others? And this is in like a legacy. We like to ask this question about legacy, and we have what your family is doing and all that stuff you want to teach. But is there anything else that you have might have in mind when we bring up the question legacy?
when I think of legacy, I think of the impact. I guess a couple areas at work. The legacy is just like the people that are hired on as interns at Cubic and how they have grown and developed. And they say, "Oh yes, Sylvia, is the one that hired me here at Cubic." So seeing how those people have grown in their careers, to me, that feels positive to me. Also, as I said, working with the young people, um, the people that I invested time in um, earlier, like my godchildren, to see that they're now in college and they're graduating from college, and how they use me as a reference, or just knowing that I'm in engineering, and one of my godchildren is actually pursuing computer science engineering. So that's a legacy. Know that you touch somebody's life. Um, just even encouraging some of the high school kids that knowing that they can go into these types of fields and be successful, that there is a path for them. Um, so I think the impact is more just letting people know that engineering is an option. STEM fields are an option. You might not go my path, but there's many paths in that area you can go. So just making an impact on a young person's life, I think, will be my legacy.
Okay.
I want to take a moment right here and just kind of tell everybody how proud, you know, we are of you. Everything that I'm hearing about, you so far, and your character, the way you carry yourself, the accomplishments that you've had, and just the steadfast that you have and pursuing, your dream, all of those things. I'm just excited that we have women and queens out there like yourself that are pushing forward. And it helps not only the children and the other women that are out there, but it also helps the man, because we need to also understand that there is purpose for, other people. And then not only that, our women are actually doing things that we should be proud of, and we should be shouting at the rooftop, trying to tell the world that they are out there making a difference. And I feel like you have shown us that, you know, we got to have our eyes open a little bit more. We need to bring these things to the table. And through this podcast, it's kind of like what, when I first met you, right? And when I first met you,
Mhm.
you were quiet. It's all about being quiet. But I was kind of like, no, you got to get on my podcast. You got to do this. And I want to see you. But I'm shy too. But at the same time, I just felt like maybe, there's a connection that you've shown that you got a lot of things to offer our Black community. And we have got to take advantage of that. And we got to, I know you got other things that you're involved in, like we talked about before. You're out there, you have, you're helping men, you're helping women, you're helping all of these different things. But I think for us as someone that has a podcast, someone that's out there, we need to bear this to the rooftop. And every time I see somebody, every time I think about somebody going to school and want to get in math or education, I'm going to play this
Mhm.
video for them. I'm going to let them see
Mm.
the character of someone that has been put forth out there, all that work. And I know it had to be challenging. I know it had to be sometimes just, overwhelming, getting taking on all of those responsibilities, and to have the responsibility now and forging all of these new ideas to help our military. get the heck
Yeah.
out of here. You know what I mean? That is really awesome. So I am proud of you. I am so proud of you. So, you know, I was just wondering, between all of the people that you've met over the years and everything, that you meet
Hmm.
somebody that you admired in your industry as a engineer. There's just somebody that was up here that you was like, man, this is like somebody I would like to meet in that industry. So I was just trying to figure out, is do you have that experience?
A person of color in that position, you're saying, or
I
just
would think so. Yeah.
okay? Um, I would say there was this lady. Her name was Sevilla, which is very close to Sylvia, and she was like a director at Xerox. Um, so she was someone that I aspired to be when I was an design engineer. That I wanted to move more into management. So I moved from a manager to a senior manager to now a director of software engineering and cybersecurity. So she saw, like I said, there's an example of someone who was there as a director and VP of her company. So I was like, yeah, that's something that I can do too. And actually, we both went to MIT. I didn't know her before, um, and she was a few years ahead of me. But like you're saying, aspires someone that's moved up. That's what I knew that I could do also.
Wow, I think that, for the kids and for all of the people that are listening to us through this beautiful interview that you're giving us, is that, you know, there's a lot of things that go along in life. It's a lot of ups and
Mhm.
downs. And so to still have with all of the career success that you've had over your life, you still have people up there that you're reaching and getting information and striving to have an understanding. Well, how can I be better, and how can I just build myself up more? So you're looking up there too. That's because for me, I'm down here, and I'm not going to say I'm down here, but thinking about an engineer in that way, I'm thinking, well,
Mhm.
man, do you have to reach up any further? Aren't you there already? But it's still places where
You can grow.
someone that has with your experience still want to go and still want to
Mhm.
learn. I guess that would be the big part, and learn from someone else, and we can all take something from that.
Yeah, because even my background is electrical engineering, um, doing board designs, but I've started managing software engineers. And my boss came to me and says, are you interested in cybersecurity? And it's like, sure. So this has been in the last 5 years that I even went into this field. So that's why I said things are ever changing. You're ever challenging. You have to learn new things. So the ability to do that. And I remember in college, one of a former alumni came back and said, I got a degree in weather, but I started working in oceanography in different areas. And he said, the skills that you learn in engineering are the fundamentals of how to solve problems. You might not be a domain expert, but you know how to solve a problem. So you're willing to listen to the different aspects and make decisions. And so that's why when I felt that, my degrees in electrical, and it's like, but I'm in software and cyber, it's like, these are not even connected to what I was trained to be, but I have the fundamental skills to move forward, transfer them over and figure out how to solve problems and make decisions. So,
Well, that's well, I can't tell you, if you can solve problems, then there are a lot of people looking for you. There's a lot of problems out there need solving. So
yeah,
I'm
that's true.
so happy
That's
that
true.
you mentioned that. But I'm gonna take a break right here.